I dreamed I was on some epic journey, some great mission that I had to work really hard with. But I was victorious. I succeeded. I achieved this nearly impossible mission with all my might. I used all my effort to do this great work. And of course, within seconds after I wake up, I can't remember any of it. What kind of maniac, psychopath, eraserhead, fake god would create or uncreate these essences, would put these flesh sacks in a mode where we cannot remember our dreams. We're only the most skillful, dream recorder. I think about discussing this with Joshua and Jeremy, the Real People's chat room recently, and he said, I have a lot of lucid adventures, but we get memory wiped every morning, and I can't bring him back with me to this. To think of the greatness, to think of the epic, amazing power we have that's constantly thwarted, not just by being forced into financial slavery, or in my case, by horrific physical disease and having to be forced to focus on that. But the daily or eveningly, early morning memory wipe is just so infuriating when you think of it. What a scumbag. What a powerful piece of psychic filth the devil really is. That he has to wipe our memories every single day. I agree with Joshua also in that not the land, not the bodies, not these voices, not even YouTube necessarily, but the form it's in, the matrix, the financial extraction system, the fake, inverted, filthy society. It's all wrong. It all needs to be ripped out and torn, ripped to shreds and destroyed. Because it has nothing to do with respect to the individual or to the collective or to the real power, which is loving, which is good, which is beneficent, benevolent, creative, and divine. The powers of the devil need to be flushed down the toilet, but he flushes most of our essences psychically down the proverbial toilet by jacking up the rent and jacking up the bills and jacking up the cost of everything and jacking your spiritual powers with these morning memory wipes jacking your soul's ability to ever grow with the afterlife memory wipe. Speaking of Jack, how could someone like Dr. Jack Cruz get here? How could someone like myself or Joshua get here? I was on Chuck Swindoll Jr.'s conversational show, his new show that someone gave him the idea for, that is all about Q&A only in a live chat. And I put all kinds of powerful things in the chat. Several of them were complimenting Chuck, but man, I guess he got the idea that he doesn't like me, or he suffers from this profane hero narcissism with this sign, this blue lit sign on the side of the video that says live save 20, really blatant and obvious. And it's like, Chuck, you do great work, but it's very important to the broken part of you to pretend like I don't exist and ignore me and feel threatened by the brutal truth. When he does admit the loose farm is here. But I don't think he, as Tony Sayers' last rant was called, people don't go deep enough. I don't think he goes deep enough, even though he made Khazarian Mafia the God Eaters. And why? Because the fucking hero, the individual who proclaims, I am the hero of the world, is always wrong. Because it's an inside job, and the aggrandizement, the needing to build a brand and sell things, and does capitalism itself not generate and grow narcissism? The extraction economy, the need to dominate, the need to take away freedoms, and not even just the freedoms of your flesh suit, but your spiritual freedoms. The freedom to remember your dreams are wiped away daily by the monsters that developed cluster B pathologies, by the monsters that threaten to and often do steal everything, at least in the sense of awareness. The entity that keeps its toe on your face deserves to be crushed and destroyed, but it doesn't even have a physical body that we can see. And my sibling over here in the other room once told me a few years back that his middle son and I were, too open, too, I would say he's a Scorpio like dear old dad in the new astrology, but in the the original the 12 zodiac sign version, he's a Sagittarius, and Chuck is a Gemini. And when he starts talking about the Cassiopeias and service to self and service to others, well, the law of one is a really fucking obvious satanic book, because it talks about the harvest. And if your service to yourself, STS 95%, you can graduate as a demon. And it's just sick. And Tony Sayers is right in that people don't go deep enough in questioning the new cage, and that the vast majority of it is infiltration, is demonic. And so long as someone like Chuck has this primary concern, or this prevalence of patting himself on the back, the hero's journey, I'm the hero, I'm rescuing everything, makes it so easy for the devil to get back in. And why does this repugnant psychological and spiritual 2-year-old get to be so powerful that it can make sure that, like last night, I had this epic dream, but I can't remember it at all. It needs to be completely destroyed and wiped out. Not just this filthy, pathetic, stupid idea of jihad. Not just the legitimacy of the government. The entire structure of hate. The control of the false self over all that it controls needs to be ripped out. That needs to be crushed into nothing, into dust, by our proverbial spiritual feet. But it keeps its boot on our faces. It keeps its boot on humanity's awareness. Because it can't have awareness. It can't have spiritual growth. It can't have peace. It can't have freedom. It can't have the ultimate truth. It can allow you the childish saying, you can do whatever you put your mind to, and then make certain you can't put your mind to it. It's understandable why Chuck hates black pillars. But it's got to be understandable why nearly just about every individual or couple who had children here, who hears my voice or knows of my work on YouTube, must pretend that I don't exist, and why anti-natalists are more than likely, most up with occasions, the only people who can honor my works. Because nobody wants to admit how powerful the devil is in their own mind. Nobody wants to admit, even Chuck, how far back, how skillful and talented the predator vampires are. How much work as a species, individually and collectively, we actually have to end hell, to escape the wheel of samsara. As Tony Sayers has said, they'll give you lots of truth, man. They'll tell you a lot of key important things, and then give you the dump in the punch bowl, and then give you the shit sandwich. And if they don't, no views, few views. Or Joshua can have his full views if he never admits the good part. Stay in your lane. Stay small. Stay on a side. Never accept the yin-yang. Never accept sacred sexuality. Never accept the whole full picture. Or you will not be celebrated. Or you will not be allowed to serve hardly anyone. I mean, in hindsight, it seems impressive that Anika, the channel The Kismet Spiral, has 2,000 subscribers when she does as I do and tells you about the brutality and the goodness. That's not allowed to the algorithm. It's not kosher to the machine beast that attempts and often does control most minds. But it needs to be said. I've written songs. I've made inventions. I've had a taste of that divinity. I've had maybe not enough, but just like last night, I've experienced spiritually or essentially that epic hero's journey, only to have the devil masterfully thwart it, throw you back into a slave family after each life, make certain that you can't remember anything about your progress, keep lowering my view numbers, not just so that I never get monetized, but so that there's a perception of failure. No matter how hard I work, no matter how much progress we make in liberation, in freedom from samsara, from the wheel of hell, make sure that you never get there. Because the devil is such a fucking talented, filthy, demon, vampire parasite that he can make sure that you never get to the goal. Unless maybe it requires that we go back to, they say in the old ancient days, we would all dream with a huge fire, that someone would stay awake and tend the fire, and we'd have our feet to the fire and we'd dream. And when Yeshua said, when two or more are gathered in my name, I'm there, that was a really important thing. And when we saw 5 and 6 years ago on the ground, 6, 6, 6, and they insisted, always stay 6 feet apart. Because if you never touch someone's aura, if you never give someone a hug, have a sex or a kiss, you never interact with their energy, psychically even, with all these daily memory wipes, more than likely you can't remember the power of the collective for good. If almost everyone is a financial slave in the form of a mortgage or property tax or rent, or has a deadly disease that never goes away that they have to tend, whether it's physical or mental or both. Oh, well, or you're a veteran who has the horrific PTSD that you have to tend to, or, you had sexual abuse as a child. All these amazingly prevalent, horrific personality disorders and all these problems stacked on top of each other just do a really great job of making sure that we never get out of hell. Do the inner work. Learn So grab your fucking cell phone in the first 2 seconds, I guess, if you want to record your dreams. But last night, I really corroborated what Joshua said in that chat. I mean, I had an epic dream that I couldn't remember at all. It's very important to the devil to keep his boot on our essence, keep his boot on our face, keep us pathological and hybridized in his violent, sick image, to make sure that, if possible, we never clear out the filth of the false self. Which is why it's ever so important that we do. That someone like Chuck needs to recognize the part of him that refuses to honor me because I come in his chat room and I tell the brutal, harsh truth, is the part that he needs to get whole. Conversely, that when Keith the rebellious meat puppet Sorelli banned me from commenting from his BitChute forever for listing the good that's still here, the things that remind me of the original version of reality, that Christ Sophia gave us free will, that the goodness is still here. That in both of those cases, I am the stone that the builder refused, the head cornerstone, the fucking eye at the top of the pyramid that would liberate them, but they can't allow it. Because even someone like Chuck can't face the horrors with that lovely 27-year-old daughter, and put that out into the world. And Keith being thwarted from every single healthy relationship he's had, he can't accept that there is still good here. But unless you look at the bigger picture, unless you really accept the horrors and the amazing, brilliant genius that has been buried in most of our essences of the pneumatic souls, how do you expect to ever liberate? Because this psychological and this weather weapon and physical battle is that big. It is that ancient, that new, that massive. And this is what I desire and want for my family, for the humans, for the pneumatic souls, for the true essences. Stop. Stop honoring the filth. Honor the truth. Honor the power, the brilliance of the big picture, where there is victory over evil, where the power of goodness can take back your essence and even your flesh suit in this realm, but not if we spiritually bypass at all. Not if we're not willing to admit goodness is still here at all. You really have to be willing to be brutally, radically honest about the good and the evil, or there ain't no chance. You get stuck back in hell again. So please, if you really want to get free, do the work.